níbikíbi tó o bá ti ń tẹ́tí sí rédíò àfínjú aago 6 ìrọ̀lẹ́ ti lù.
ẹ bá mi pè é o. àfínjú kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? àfínjú rédíò àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfínjú lórí WhatsApp àfínjú Instagram àfínjú Facebook àfínjú lórí X àfínjú lórí YouTube àfínjú lórí TikTok àfínjú kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? àfínjú ẹ bá mi pè é o. àfínjú rédíò àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfínjú rédíò àfínjú rédíò àfínjú rédíò àfínjú.
Stay informed with news on Radio Afinju.
First, a look at the highlights. PDP Board of Trustees demand reversal of Rivers emergency rule. 6 police personnel killed in Kenya by suspected Al-Shabaab fighters. Mark Carney poised to call election 6 mandate to tackle Trump. Good evening and welcome to the World News on Radio Afinju. My name is Pearl Durotoye. The news in detail. The Board of Trustees of the main opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, has rejected President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's emergency rule in Rivers State. This is as the Board of Trustees faulted the National Assembly for ratifying the President's action via a mere voice vote instead of the constitutional two-thirds majority. The body demanded the immediate reversal of the emergency rule, which it said is a gross violation of the Nigerian Constitution. Chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees and former Senate President Adolphus Wabara, in a statement today on behalf of the body, said the action of President Bola Tinubu could only be imagined during a military era. The PDP Board of Trustees acknowledged the President's power to declare emergency rule on any state, but it said the power is not limitless. The Southern Governors Forum has commiserated with the Governor of Katsina State, Diko Umaru Rada, over the demise of his mother, Hajiya Safaru Umaru Barebari, today. The governors, in a statement signed by the chairman of the forum and governor of Ogun State, Dakpo Abiodun, made available to newsmen in Abeokuta, described the death as painful despite the age. The forum noted that the passing of Hajiya Safaru Umaru Barebari, being a mother who had given all in training and nurturing her children, including the governor, was bound to be heartbreaking. The forum added that a transition in the holy month of Ramadan, during which, with other Muslim faithful, she was engaged in prayer and supplications to Almighty Allah, as well as acts of charity, was symbolic. Barely a week after a major explosion occurred on the Trans-Niger pipeline in Bodo-Gokano local government area of Rivers State, another explosion has reportedly struck the Soko oil facility in Akuku, Toru local government area. The Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center, YAC Nigeria, a grassroots NGO with strong network across the Niger Delta, confirmed the latest explosion today. In a statement signed by its executive director, Fineface Dumma Mene Fineface, YAC said it received reports from its youth volunteers about an early morning explosion at the Soko oil facility operated by Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited. The cause of the explosion remains uncertain, with speculations ranging from equipment failure, sabotage, and deliberate attack. The Anambra State Police Command has rescued the Reverend Father Stephen Echezona, abducted by gunmen at a petrol station in Ichida and Naucha local government area. The assailant, operating in a white Lexus SUV without a plate number, took the priest in his own vehicle after abandoning theirs during a gun exchange with security operatives who responded to the attack. In a statement earlier today, the command spokesperson, Tochukwu Ikenga, said the victim was rescued in the early hours of today, March 23rd, 2025, by a joint security team comprising the police, military, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and local vigilante groups from Ichida and Hiala. He added that the kidnappers abandoned their Lexus SUV in an attempt to escape after a gun battle with security forces. Away from Nigeria, at least 6 police personnel were killed in Kenya, while 4 were injured in an attack on a police camp by suspected Islamist militants in Garissa County in the country's east on the border with Somalia. According to a police report sent out to the media, the assault, which occurred early this morning, was carried out by suspected fighters from Somalia's Al-Qaeda-allied Al-Shabaab group. Al-Shabaab frequently carries out cross-border attacks in the area against both military and civilian targets. The report said attackers from the group launched an assault around dawn on a camp housing police reservists and used assorted weapons to overrun the camp. In Asia, Pakistan's army has killed 16 Islamist militants along the country's western border with Afghanistan. A statement released earlier today said border troops killed all the militants in an exchange of fire during the night between March 22nd and 23rd in North Waziristan district. Islamabad says that Islamist militants who attack inside Pakistan and against the army have safe havens in Afghanistan, a charge Kabul denies. The incident took place as Pakistan's Special Representative for Afghanistan, Sadiq Khan, is on a 2-day official visit to Kabul to talk about bilateral and economic issues, according to a statement from Pakistan's embassy in Kabul. U.S. Republican Senator Steve Daines met Chinese Premier Li Qiang in Beijing with a group of 7 American executives today, following an annual business summit in the Chinese capital attended by top foreign CEOs. According to a foreign media pool report, Daines was accompanied by Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, Cargill CEO Brian Sykes, Boeing Global Senior Vice President Brendan Nelson, and other executives at Beijing's Great Hall of the People. Daines' trip marks the first time a U.S. politician has visited China since U.S. President Donald Trump took office in January. Beijing is seeking high-level dialogue with the new administration with hopes of reaching a deal to avert further tariff pressure from Washington. Daines, a staunch supporter of Trump and member of the Senate's Foreign Relations Committee, was heavily involved in multiple trips to China as a senator. In the United Kingdom, Britain's government will stick to its fiscal rules despite global upheaval, Finance Minister Rachel Reeves said today, raising the prospect of belt-tightening measures to meet her targets for the public finances in a budget update this week. In the first full budget last October, Reeves sought to win the trust of investors by pledging to end of the decade. But she's believed to have been knocked off course by slow economic growth and higher borrowing costs, a potential global trade war triggered by U.S. President Donald Trump's import tariffs has led to downgrades to the international outlook. On Friday, British debt costs jumped after higher than expected borrowing figures, showing nervousness among investors about the ability of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government to fix the public finances with the economy stuck in a slow gear. Reeves is expected to announce further measures in a spring statement on Wednesday to restore our £10 billion of room for manoeuvre to meet her fiscal targets. In Europe, the main rival to Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been formally arrested and charged with corruption. Ekrem İmamoğlu, the mayor of the Turkish city of Istanbul, is expected to be selected as the opposition Republican People's Party's 2028 presidential candidate in a ballot earlier today. He denies the allegations and says they are politically motivated. He was quoted as saying, "I will never bow," after being remanded in custody pending trial. His detention has sparked off some of the largest protests in more than a decade. Erdogan has condemned the demonstrations and accused the CHP of trying to disturb the peace and polarize the people. Pope Francis has appeared at his window of the Gemelli Hospital in Rome and offered a blessing for the first time since being admitted on 14th February. The 88-year-old pontiff was discharged minutes later, and doctors say he will need at least 2 months of rest at the Vatican. During the past 5 weeks, he presented 2 very critical episodes where his life was in danger, Sergio Alfieri, one of the doctors treating the Pope, said. Alfieri added that Pope Francis was never intubated and always remained alert and oriented. According to his doctors, the Pope is not completely healed, but no longer has pneumonia and is now in a stable condition. In the Americas, new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is poised to call an election on Sunday, that's earlier today, looking for a strong mandate to deal with the threat that U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs pose to the economy. Carney's shadow shows him visiting the Governor General, the personal representative of King Charles, Canada's head of state, at noon, holding a media brief after. Carney is expected to seek the dissolution of Parliament, triggering the start of the campaign. Although the next election is not due until October 20th, Carney is hoping to capitalize on a remarkable recovery by his Liberal Party in the polls since January, when Trump began threatening Canada and former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation. Carney, a former 2-time central banker with no previous political or election campaign experience, captured the Liberal leadership on March 9th by persuading party members he was the best person to tackle Trump. Liberal Party sources had said Carney would seek an election within weeks. In the Middle East, more than 50,000 people have been killed in Gaza since the war began, the territory's Hamas-run health ministry said today, adding that a total of 113,274 others had been injured in the same period. In the past, figures from the Gaza Ministry of Health were widely used in times of conflict and seen as reliable by the United Nations and international institutions. But Israel has consistently refuted data published by Gaza's authorities. Now talking sports, Lewis Hamilton has been disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix for a technical infringement on his Ferrari. On the skid blocks on Hamilton's car was found to be one of the skid blocks on Hamilton's car was found to be less than the required thickness after the race. His teammate Charles Leclerc and Alpine's Pierre Gasly have also been disqualified after the cars were both deemed underweight in post-race checks. Hamilton loses his sixth-place finish in the main Grand Prix following victory in the sprint race in Shanghai on Saturday, his first win for his new team. In a statement, the Italian team said there was no intention to gain any advantage. Explaining the disqualifications, Ferrari said Leclerc's high tire wear due to one-stop race strategy had caused the weight breach, while they had misjudged the consumption by a small margin in regard to Hamilton's skid wear. Still talking sports, Great Britain's Neil Garley and Georgia's Hunter Bell won 1,500 meters medals on the final day of the World Athletics Indoor Championships in China. Team captain Garley took silver behind Norway's Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who added his first World 1,500 meters title to the 3,000 meters gold he won on Saturday. In a women's final dominated by Ethiopia's Gudaf Sege, Olympic bronze medalist Hunter Bell ran a personal best 3 minutes 59.84 seconds for bronze. It took GB's total medal haul in Nanjing to 4, following golds for Jeremiah Azu in the men's 60 meters and Amber Anning in the women's 400 meters. Garley closely tracked strong favorite Ingebrigtsen, who won in 3:38.79 throughout the race to clock 3:39.07. American Luke Hauser was third. Behind Sega's solo run to a second World Indoor 1,500 meters title, ahead of fellow Ethiopian Diribe Welteji, Hunter Bell had enough to hold off Australian Georgia Griffith as she bounced back from missing out on the European indoors podium 2 weeks ago. Before we go, here again are the highlights. The Board of Trustees of the main opposition People's Democratic Party has rejected President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's emergency rule in Rivers State. This is as the BOT faulted the National Assembly for ratifying the president's action via a mere voice vote instead of the constitutional two-thirds majority. Elsewhere, at least 6 police personnel were killed in Kenya, while 4 were injured in an attack on a police camp by suspected Islamist militants in Garissa County, in the country's east on the border with Somalia. And in the Americas, a new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is poised to call an election earlier today, looking for a strong mandate to deal with the threat that U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs pose to the economy. That was the world news on Radio Afinju. To view our channel, please follow Radio Afinju on Facebook, X, and YouTube. My name is Pearl Durotoye. Thanks for listening. Good evening.